The journey through space took 3 days, just as Lyra had promised. During that time, she taught Jisoo everything she could. Languages, history, the names of species, and their customs. His head ached from all the information, but he refused to stop learning. The ship had a window that showed the universe passing by. Stars streaked past like rain on a car window. Sometimes they passed planets. Some covered in ice, some burning with fire, some glowing with the lights of great cities. That is a trading world, Lyra explained as they passed a planet covered in metal structures. Thousands of species meet there to buy and sell goods. Will we stop there? Not today. We must go directly to the assembly station. The council does not like to wait. On the 3rd day, Jisoo saw their destination. The assembly station was the largest thing he had ever seen. It was a ring of metal floating in space, bigger than Earth's moon. Millions of lights glittered on its surface. Ships of every shape and size moved around it like insects around a lamp. This is where the council meets? Jisoo asked, his voice small. This is where the fate of worlds is decided, Lyra said. Try not to look too amazed. The other species might see it as weakness. Their ship docked in a massive hangar. When the door opened, Jisoo stepped out and nearly fell over. The hangar was full of aliens. Real aliens. Some were tall and thin, with skin like glass. Some were short and round, covered in fur. Some had no fixed shape at all, just clouds of colored gas that moved and shifted. Everyone stared at Jisoo. They have heard about you, Lyra whispered. News travels fast. The human who showed kindness to a Veltari princess. Many are curious. Jisoo straightened his back and tried to look confident. It was not easy. He was a mechanic from Seoul, standing in a space station surrounded by creatures from his wildest dreams. His legs wanted to shake. His hands wanted to tremble. But he forced himself to stay calm. Lyra led him through long corridors and onto moving platforms that carried them across the station. Everywhere they went, aliens watched and whispered. Jisoo heard his name in a dozen languages, each pronunciation slightly wrong. Finally, they reached a great door made of something that looked like liquid gold. 2 guards stood on either side, tall creatures with 4 arms and skin like stone. The council chamber, Lyra said. Once we enter, I cannot help you. You must speak for yourself. Remember everything I taught you. Jisoo nodded. His throat was dry. His heart pounded. But he was ready. He had to be ready. The golden doors opened, and Jisoo walked into the council chamber. It was like nothing he could have imagined. The room was round, with seats rising up in circles like a stadium. Thousands of aliens sat in those seats, representing hundreds of species. In the center was a platform where Jisoo stood alone. Surrounded by eyes of every shape and color. At the far end of the room sat the High Council. 12 beings from the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. They looked down at Jisoo with expressions he could not read. One of them spoke. It was a creature made of pure light, shifting and beautiful. Park Jisoo of Earth, you come to claim a place for your species among the stars. Speak now. Tell us why humanity deserves this honor. Jisoo took a deep breath. Lyra had prepared him for this moment. She had given him arguments and facts and statistics. She had taught him to speak of human achievements, of art and science and progress. But standing there, looking at all those alien faces, Jisoo forgot everything she had taught him. All he could think about was the truth. I am not a leader, he said. His voice was small at first, but it grew stronger. I am not a scientist or a politician. I fix cars. I work with my hands. I live alone in a small apartment above my garage. Whispers passed through the crowd. The council members looked at each other with confusion. When I found Lyra in the forest, I did not know she was a princess. I did not know she was testing me. I just saw someone who was hurt and needed help. So I helped her. That is all." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "You have studied my species. You know, we have done terrible things. Wars, cruelty, destruction. I cannot deny any of it. Humans have caused great pain to each other and to our world." One of the council members leaned forward. It was a creature with dozens of eyes spread across its body. "Then, why should we accept such a violent species into our community? Why should we share our knowledge with those who might use it for harm?" "Because we can change," Jisoo said. "Because we are still young. Because every terrible thing we have done came from fear or pain or misunderstanding. When we learn better, we do better." He looked around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as he could. "I am proof of that. My grandfather fought in a war against Japan. He carried hate in his heart for many years. But when he grew old, he made friends with a Japanese man in his neighborhood. They would drink tea together and laugh about how foolish they had been." The chamber was silent. Jisoo continued, "Humanity is not perfect. We will never be perfect. But we have the capacity to grow, to learn, to choose kindness over cruelty, even when it is hard. That is what I believe. That is why I am here." A different council member spoke. This one was ancient, covered in scales that shimmered with every color. "Pretty words, human. But words are easy. Let us see if you can prove your character." The creature waved a limb, and suddenly a platform rose from the floor in front of Jisoo. On it sat treasures beyond imagination. Gold and jewels that glowed with inner light. Technology that could make him the most powerful person on Earth. Weapons that could conquer nations. "Take what you want," the scaled creature said. "This is our gift to you. The wealth of 1,000 worlds. With these things, you could rule your planet. You could live like a god among your people." Jisoo looked at the treasures. They were beautiful, tempting. He could imagine what he could do with such power. He could end poverty, cure diseases, make Earth a paradise. But he could also imagine what might go wrong. The fighting over such treasures. The corruption. The fear. "No," he said simply. "I do not want these things." Gasps echoed through the chamber. Even the council members looked surprised. "Why not?" The creature of light asked. "Do you not desire power?" "I desire to do right," Jisoo said. "If I took these treasures back to Earth, it would cause chaos. People would fight over them. Countries would go to war. The gifts would become curses." He stepped back from the platform. "I came here to earn a place for humanity, not to steal one. If we deserve to join the galactic community, we will earn it through our actions, not through bribes or tricks." The scaled creature studied him for a long moment. Then it made a sound that might have been laughter. "Fascinating. Most species grant everything they can. You refuse even gifts freely offered." "They are not freely offered," Jisoo said. "This is another test. I am not stupid. You want to see if I will betray my values for shiny objects. I will not." For a moment, silence filled the great chamber. Then the creature of light spoke again. "The council will deliberate. Wait outside, Park Jisoo of Earth. We will call you when we have reached a decision." Jisoo bowed, the way Lyra had taught him. Then he walked out of the chamber, leaving the treasures untouched on their platform dot in the hallway. Lyra was waiting. Her human disguise was gone, and she stood in her true form, blue skin and violet eyes. She looked at Jisoo with an expression he had never seen before. "You did well," she said softly. "Did I? I feel like I said all the wrong things." "You said the true things. That is better than saying the right things." They waited for what felt like hours. Aliens passed by, staring at Jisoo with curiosity or suspicion or wonder. He tried not to fidget. He tried not to worry. But his mind would not stop racing. Finally, the golden doors opened. A guard gestured for Jisoo to enter. He walked back into the chamber alone. The council members looked down at him. He could not read their expressions. His heart beat so hard, he thought everyone could hear it. The creature of light stood and spoke in a voice that filled the room. Part Jisoo of Earth, the council has reached a decision. After much debate, we have concluded, Jisoo held his breath, that humanity will be granted a place in the galactic community. You will have a seat in this assembly. You will have access to knowledge and trade. Your species will no longer be alone. For a moment, Jisoo could not move, could not speak, could not breathe. Then joy exploded in his chest like a son being born. He had done it. Not with clever arguments or political tricks. Just by being self. Just by being honest and kind and true. Tears ran down his face as the chamber filled with applause. Somewhere in the crowd, he saw Lyra smiling at him with those violet eyes. This was just the beginning, he knew. There would be challenges ahead. Problems to solve. Mistakes to fix. But humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe, and Park Jisoo, the simple mechanic from Seoul, had led the way. The journey back to Earth felt different. When Jisoo had left his planet, he was just a mechanic with an impossible task. Now he was returning as the man who had won humanity's place among the stars. Lyra sat beside him in the ship, watching him with those violet eyes. She had kept her true form since the council meeting. Jisoo found he preferred it. The blue skin and strange beauty felt more honest than her human disguise. What are you thinking? She asked. I am thinking about what comes next, Jisoo said. The council accepted us, but that is just the beginning. How do I explain this to the world? How do I tell 8 billion people that everything they know has changed? You do not have to do it alone, Lyra said. My people will help. We have done this before, with other species. There are ways to introduce great changes slowly, carefully. But people will be afraid. Some will be angry. Some will try to use this for power. Yes, that is always true. Change is never easy. Lyra reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were cool and smooth. But you have already proven what humans can be at their best. Others will follow your example. Jisoo looked at their joined hands. Something had grown between them during these days together. Something he did not have words for yet. Will you stay? On Earth, I mean? Lyra was quiet for a moment. My father wants me to return home. I am a princess. I have duties, I see. Jisoo felt disappointment settle in his chest like a stone, but I told him no. Jisoo looked up. What? Lyra smiled, and it lit up her whole face. I told him that my duty is on Earth now. As the official Velthari envoy, someone has to help humanity take its first steps into the galaxy. I volunteered. Joy replaced the disappointment so quickly that Jisoo laughed. You will stay? Really? Really? You cannot get rid of me that easily, Park Jisoo. They spent the rest of the journey planning. Lyra explained how other species had been introduced to the galactic community. There would be meetings with world leaders. Careful sharing of technology. Schools to teach humans about the universe. Hospitals where alien medicine could save lives. It will take time, Lyra said. Many years. Perhaps many generations. But your species is ready. I believe that. Because of what I did? Because of what you are. You and millions of others like you. Humans who choose kindness even when it costs them. Who help strangers even when there is no reward. Your species has this quality in abundance. It just needs to be encouraged. On the third day, Earth appeared in the window. Blue and green and white, floating in the darkness. Jisoo pressed his hand against the glass. watching his home grow larger. "It is beautiful," Lyra said softly. "I have seen many worlds, but yours is special. So much water, so much life, so much potential." "Sometimes I forget," Jisoo admitted. "When you live somewhere your whole life, you stop seeing how amazing it is." The ship descended through the atmosphere. They came down at night, landing in the same clearing in the forest where Jisoo had first found Lyra. But this time, they were not alone. Lights surrounded the clearing. Hundreds of people stood waiting, their faces lit by the glow of the ship. Jisoo saw news cameras. He saw soldiers. He saw world leaders in suits and ordinary people in everyday clothes. "How do they know we are coming?" Jisoo asked. "I sent a message ahead," Lyra said. "The whole world has been watching. They know what you did. They know what it means." The ship's door opened. Jisoo stepped out into the night air, and the crowd fell silent. Every eye was on him. Every camera was pointed at his face. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like the same man who had been fixing cars 2 weeks ago. The same man who ate instant noodles for dinner and watched old movies alone. Nothing about him had changed, but everything had changed. A woman pushed through the crowd. Jisoo recognized her as the president of South Korea. She approached him with tears in her eyes. "Park Jisoo," she said, her voice shaking. "On behalf of all of Korea, all of Earth, thank you." "I did not do anything special," Jisoo said. "I just helped someone who needed help." "That is exactly what was special," the president said. More people approached. Leaders from other countries. Scientists who had spent their lives searching for alien life. Ordinary people who had traveled from far away just to see this moment. They all wanted to thank Jisoo. They all wanted to shake his hand. It was overwhelming. Jisoo felt like he might collapse under the weight of their gratitude. Lyra stepped up beside him. She was in her true form, blue skin and violet eyes visible to everyone. Gasps ran through the crowd, but no one screamed. No one ran away. "People of Earth," Lyra said, her voice carrying across the clearing. "I am Lyra of the Valkyrie. I come in peace. I come with hope. I come because one of your own showed me the best of what humanity can be." She gestured to Jisoo. "This man saved my life without asking for anything in return. He refused wealth and power because he believed it was wrong to take them. He spoke for your species with honesty and courage. Because of him, you are no longer alone in the universe." The crowd was silent. Then someone began to clap. The sound spread, growing louder and louder until it became thunder. People cheered. People cried. People hugged strangers next to them. Jisoo stood in the center of it all, feeling like he was in a dream. In the weeks that followed, everything changed. Valkyrie ships descended peacefully around the world, one in each major city. They brought teachers and doctors and engineers, ready to share knowledge that would transform human civilization. Diseases that had killed millions were cured overnight. Clean energy ended the need for fossil fuels. New technologies made food plentiful and water clean. The problems that had plagued humanity for centuries began to disappear. But the greatest change was in how humans saw themselves. Jisoo became a symbol. Not because he wanted to be, but because people needed something to believe in. His story spread around the world. The mechanic who saved an alien princess. The ordinary man who spoke for all of humanity. The person who proved that kindness was the most powerful force in the universe. Schools taught his story to children. Artists painted his face on murals. People named their sons after him. It made Jisoo uncomfortable, but Lyra told him it was important. "Heroes give people hope," she said. "They show what is possible. You cannot stop being an example just because it feels strange." Jisoo kept his garage. He refused to move into a palace or accept any special treatment. Every morning, he would wake up in his small apartment, walk downstairs, and work on cars. The customers had changed. Journalists and tourists came to take pictures, but the work stayed the same. Sometimes he would look up from an engine and see Lyra watching him. She had rented the apartment next door and visited every day. Their friendship had grown into something deeper, something neither of them named yet. One evening, as the sun set over Seoul, they sat on the roof of the garage together. Ships from dozens of worlds moved across the sky, lights blinking like new stars. The universe had come to Earth, and Earth had welcomed it. "I never imagined this," Jisoo said. "When I found you in the forest, I just wanted to help. I did not think about changing the world." "That is exactly why you changed it," Lyra said. "You did not seek greatness. You did not plan to become a hero. You simply did what was right because it was right. That is the purest form of goodness." Jisoo was quiet for a moment. "Do you ever regret it? Staying on Earth instead of going home?" Lyra turned to look at him. Her violet eyes were soft in the fading light. "Home is not a place, Jisoo. Home is where you belong, where you want to be." She reached out and took his hand. "I want to be here, with you, watching your species grow, helping you become what I know you can be." Jisoo felt warmth spread through his chest. "I want that too." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Old stars that had shone for billions of years. New stars that were really alien ships carrying knowledge and hope. The universe was vast and strange and full of wonders. Humanity was just beginning to explore it. There would be challenges ahead, problems to solve, mistakes to learn from. Nothing would be easy, but sitting there with Lyra beside him, watching the future unfold above his small garage in Seoul, Park Jisoo felt something he had not felt since his mother passed away. He felt hope, not hope for himself, but hope for everyone, for humanity, for the galaxy, for all the species yet to discover the simple truth that had started everything. Kindness matters. Helping strangers matters. Doing right because it is right, not for reward or praise, matters. These small acts of goodness can change the universe. Jisoo had proven it. And now it was humanity's turn to prove it over and over for generations to come. The story was not ending. It was just beginning, and it would be a good one. The next morning, Jisoo woke up thinking it was all a dream. But when he walked into his small kitchen, Lyra was there. She sat at his table, reading a Korean book she had found on his shelf. The crystal cube sat beside her, glowing softly in the morning light. "Good morning," she said without looking up. "I hope you do not mind. I find your literature fascinating. This story about a fisherman and a dragon is very interesting." Jisoo rubbed his eyes. It was real. All of it was real. That book belonged to my mother. She loved old folktales. Lyra closed the book gently. "She sounds like a good person." She was. Jisoo walked to the window and looked outside. His garage sat quiet below. The street was empty except for a few cars. Everything looked normal, but nothing would ever be normal again. "What happens now?" he asked. "You said we have much to do." Lyra stood and joined him at the window. "First, I must tell you the whole truth. About my people. About the galaxy. About what you are stepping into." She waved her hand, and suddenly the room changed. The walls disappeared, replaced by stars. Jisoo gasped and grabbed the table for balance. It felt like he was floating in space. "Do not worry," Lyra said. "This is just a projection. A way to show you things." She pointed at a cluster of bright stars. "This is the galactic center. Billions of stars, billions of worlds. Life exists on millions of them. Intelligent life on thousands." Jisoo watched in amazement as the view zoomed in. He saw planets of every color. Cities that covered entire worlds. Ships moving between stars like fish swimming in an ocean. "My people, the Velfari, have existed for over 100,000 years, Lyra continued. We were not always peaceful. Long ago, we conquered other species. We took what we wanted. We thought we were superior to everyone else. The projection showed war. Ships destroying ships. Cities burning. Entire planets dying. Jisoo felt sick watching it. Then something happened, Lyra said. We met a species older than us. Wiser than us. They were dying, their sun growing cold. They had only years left. But instead of fighting us, they gave us a gift. All their knowledge. All their wisdom. They asked nothing in return. The projection changed again. Jisoo saw two alien species meeting. One was tall and strong, like Lyra's true form. The other was small and fragile, with skin like paper. The small ones offered glowing cubes, just like the one Lyra had given Jisoo. That gift changed us, Lyra said. We realized that true strength is not about power or conquest. It is about kindness. About helping others without wanting reward. The old ones taught us this lesson with their final act. The projection faded. The walls returned. Jisoo and Lyra stood in his small kitchen again. So now you test other species, Jisoo said. Like you tested me. Yes, we visit young civilizations and see if they have the capacity for true kindness. Most fail. They capture us or kill us or demand payment for any help they give. Humanity is different, because I helped you. Because you helped me without expecting anything. Because you hid my ship to protect me from your own people. Because you refused the most valuable gift in the galaxy, simply because you did not want payment for doing right. Jisoo felt uncomfortable with such praise. I am just one person. I cannot speak for all of humanity. We have done terrible things, wars, cruelty, destruction. I know, Lyra said. We have studied your history. We know about your wars and your pain. But we also see your potential. We see people like you, Jisoo. People who choose kindness, even when it is hard. People who help strangers, even when there is risk. She picked up the crystal cube and held it out to him. This is why we are giving humanity a chance. Not because you are perfect. Because you have the ability to grow. To become better. To join us among the stars. Jisoo took the cube. It felt warm in his hands, like it was alive. You said you need me to represent Earth. What does that mean exactly? Lyra's face grew serious. There is a council. We call it the Assembly of Stars. Representatives from hundreds of species gather to make decisions about the galaxy. Trade, peace, war, everything that matters. And you want me to speak to this council? I want you to convince them that humanity deserves a place among us. Not everyone agrees. Some species think humans are too dangerous, too violent, too young. They want to leave Earth isolated until you destroy yourselves. Jisoo felt a chill run down his spine. What happens if I fail? Earth will be closed off. No contact. No trade. No help when your planet faces disasters. You will be alone in the universe, forever. The weight of it pressed down on Jisoo. The fate of his entire species rested on his shoulders. 8 billion people who did not even know aliens existed. Their future depending on a simple mechanic from Seoul. Why me? He asked. Surely there are better choices. Scientists, leaders, famous people. Lyra shook her head. That is exactly why it must be you. The council has seen your leaders. They have watched your scientists. Those people are clever, but they often act for selfish reasons. Fame, power, money. You act for none of those things. You act because it is right. She took his hands in hers. Her skin was warm now, matching her human disguise. The council will try to test you. They will offer you wealth beyond imagination. Power beyond any Earth ruler. They will try to make you betray your values. You must stay true to who you are. How can I even get to this council? It must be very far away. My ship will take us. The journey takes 3 days. During that time, I will teach you what I can. Languages, customs, the names and natures of the species you will meet. Jisoo laughed, but there was no humor in it. 3 days to learn everything about the galaxy. You will not learn everything, but you will learn enough. Lyra squeezed his hands. I believe in you, Jisoo. I have studied thousands of humans. I have tested dozens personally. None of them were like you. None of them made me feel. She stopped. Her cheeks turned slightly red, even through her disguise. Feel what? Jisoo asked. That is not important now, Lyra said quickly. She let go of his hands and walked toward the door. We should leave tonight. The council meeting is in 10 days, and we cannot be late. Tonight? Jisoo looked around his small apartment. At the garage below, full of tools and half-finished projects. At the life he had built over 35 years. I cannot just disappear. People will worry. I have responsibilities. You can leave messages. Tell your friends you are taking a trip. The technology I have can make them believe any story you want. Jisoo shook his head. No. If I am going to represent humanity, I will not start with lies. I will tell my friends the truth. Lyra looked surprised. They will not believe you. Maybe not. But they deserve honesty. That is part of who I am. For a moment, Lyra just stared at him. Then she smiled, wider than before. You see? This is why you are perfect. You cannot even lie to your friends to make your life easier. The council will not expect someone like you. Jisoo spent the day saying goodbye. He told Kim Do-eun that he was going on a journey. He told Lee Min-ji that she could use his garage while he was gone. Neither of them believed his story about aliens, but they saw something in his eyes. Something that made them trust him anyway. That night, Lyra led Jisoo back to the forest. Her ship was waiting in the same clearing where he had found her 5 days ago. But now it was not crashed and broken. It was beautiful, gleaming silver under the moonlight. Are you ready? Lyra asked. Jisoo looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, hundreds of species were waiting to judge his entire civilization. The thought should have terrified him. Instead, he felt strangely calm. I am ready, he said. They walked into the ship together. The door closed behind them. A moment later, the craft rose silently into the night sky. It passed through the clouds, through the atmosphere, into the cold darkness of space. Earth grew smaller behind them. Asia, the Pacific, Ocean. The whole planet became a blue marble hanging in the void. Jisoo watched his home shrink and felt tears in his eyes. He did not know if he would ever see it again. He did not know if he would succeed or fail. But he knew one thing. He would do his best. Not for fame or power or reward. Simply because it was the right thing to do. That was all he had ever known. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. 5 days passed since the night in the forest. Jisoo tried to live his normal life. He fixed cars and trucks during the day. He ate simple meals alone in his small apartment above the garage. He watched television and went to sleep early. But nothing felt normal anymore. Every night, Jisoo dreamed of the alien woman. He saw her violet eyes looking at him with gratitude. He felt her cold fingers touching his face. He heard her musical voice speaking words he could not understand. When he woke up, he would look out his window at the sky, hoping to see a blue light among the stars. His friends noticed something was different. Kim Do-eun, who owned the restaurant next door, asked Jisoo if he was feeling sick. Lee Min-ji, the young woman who delivered parts to his garage, said he looked like a man who had seen a ghost. Jisoo just smiled and said he was fine. He could not tell them the truth. They would think he was crazy, On the fifth night, Jisoo closed his garage late. A storm was coming, and he wanted to make sure everything was secure. The wind was strong, blowing leaves and trash across the empty street. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Jisoo locked the garage door and turned toward his apartment. That was when he saw her dot. She stood under the streetlight, alone in the wind. Her skin was no longer blue. It was the soft brown of a Korean woman. Her hair was still long and black, but her eyes had changed from violet to dark brown. She wore simple human clothes, jeans, and a white shirt that looked new. But Jisoo knew it was her. He would recognize her anywhere. "Hello, Jisoo," she said. He stopped walking. His heart pounded in his chest. "You can speak Korean?" She smiled, and it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. "I learn fast. Your radio signals, your television, your internet. I study for 5 days. My Korean is not perfect, but I try." Jisoo walked toward her slowly, like she might disappear if he moved too fast. "Why did you come back? I thought you went home." "I did go home," she said, "but I had to return. I had to see you again. My name is Lara. I never told you before." "Lyra," Jisoo repeated. The name felt strange on his tongue, but also right. "I am part Jisoo, but I guess you already know that." Lyra nodded. "I know many things about you now." I watched. I listened. "You are a good man, Jisoo. A kind man. This is rare in the universe." The first drops of rain began to fall. Jisoo looked up at the dark clouds. "We should go inside. The storm is coming." He led Lyra to his apartment above the garage. It was small and messy, with tools and books scattered everywhere. Jisoo felt embarrassed, but Lyra did not seem to mind. She looked around with curious eyes, studying everything like it was fascinating. "Would you like some tea?" Jisoo asked. "Yes, please. I have learned about tea. It is a nice custom." Jisoo made tea while Lyra sat at his small table. The rain began to fall harder, drumming against the windows. Lightning flashed across the sky. "How did you change your appearance?" Jisoo asked as he poured the tea. "Technology," Lyra said. "My people can alter our bodies to look like other species. It helps when we visit new worlds." "I did not want to scare your people." Jisoo sat across from her. "Where are you from? How far away is your home?" "Very far. Your scientists have not discovered my star yet. It would take your fastest ships thousands of years to reach my world. But we have better technology. We can travel across the galaxy in days." Jisoo shook his head in wonder. All his life, he had looked up at the stars and wondered if humanity was alone. Now he knew the answer. The universe was full of life, and one of those lives was sitting in his kitchen, drinking tea. "Why are you here?" he asked. "On Earth, I mean. Why did your ship crash in my forest?" Lyra's face grew serious. She set down her cup and reached into her pocket. She pulled out a small cube made of crystal. It glowed softly with a blue light that reminded Jisoo of the night he found her ship. "This is for you," she said, placing it on the table. "A gift, a thank you for saving my life." Jisoo looked at the cube. It was beautiful, but he did not understand. "What is it?" "Technology," Lyra said. "Inside this cube is knowledge. Medical knowledge that can cure any disease. Energy technology that can power your whole planet without pollution. Materials that can build ships to travel among the stars. This cube is worth more than everything on your world combined." Jisoo stared at the cube, then at Lyra. He did not touch it. "I cannot accept this." Lyra looked confused. "Why not?" "You saved my life. This is your reward." "I did not save you for a reward," Jisoo said. "I saved you because you were hurt. Because it was the right thing to do. Anyone would have done the same." "No," Lyra said, her voice becoming soft. Not anyone. I have visited many worlds, Jisoo. I have met many species. Most would have killed me or captured me or left me to die. Kindness to strangers is rare. Kindness without expecting payment is almost unknown. Jisoo pushed the cube back toward her. Then keep your gift. I do not want payment for being a decent person. Lyra looked at him for a long moment. Her eyes, even in their human disguise, were full of emotion. Jisoo saw surprise, confusion, and something else. Respect, maybe. Or something deeper. You are an unusual man, she said finally. Jisoo laughed. I am just a mechanic. I fix cars for money. I live alone. There is nothing special about me. That is where you are wrong, Lyra said. She picked up the cube and held it in her hands. My people have searched the galaxy for 10,000 years. We are looking for something rare, something precious. We call it true kindness, the ability to help others without wanting anything in return. She stood up and walked to the window. The rain was falling heavily now, turning the street into a river. Lightning lit up the sky every few seconds. I was not in your forest by accident, Lyra continued. My ship did not crash. I made it look like a crash. I made myself look wounded. It was a test. Jisoo felt cold. A test? You tricked me? Lyra turned to face him. Yes, and I'm sorry. But my people needed to know. We needed to know if humans were ready. Ready for what? For everything? For the universe. For knowledge that could save your world or destroy it. We have seen species gain great power and use it for evil. We have seen civilizations burn themselves to nothing. We do not share our gifts lightly. Jisoo stood up. He did not know if he should feel angry or honored or afraid. So I passed your test? You did more than pass, Lyra said. You showed us something we have rarely seen. Pure kindness. No fear, no greed, no desire for power. Just a man helping someone who needed help. She walked back to the table and picked up the crystal cube again. This time, she pressed something on its surface. The cube began to glow brighter. I am not just any member of my species, Lyra said. I am the daughter of our emperor. You call it princess in your language. I was chosen to conduct this test because my father wanted the best judgment possible. Jisoo sat down heavily. A princess. He had saved an alien princess. What happens now? Lyra smiled at him. Now, everything changes. My people want to make contact with Earth. We want to share our knowledge and welcome humans into the galactic community. But we need someone to represent your species. Someone we trust. Someone who has proven their character. She placed the cube in Jisoo's hands. This time, he did not refuse it. Park Jisoo, Lyra said. I am asking you to speak for humanity. Will you be Earth's first ambassador to the stars? Outside, the storm raged on. But inside the small apartment, Jisoo held the future of his entire species in his hands. He looked at the crystal cube, then at the alien princess who had changed his life. He took a deep breath and gave his answer. Yes, I will do it. For Earth, for humanity. Lyra's smile grew wider. Then we have much to do, and not much time to do it. The storm outside was ending. But for Jisoo, a much bigger storm was just beginning. Park Jisoo wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag. The clock on the wall showed 2 in the morning. He was tired, but the old truck in front of him still needed work. The owner would come to pick it up in 6 hours. And Jisoo never broke his promises. His small garage sat at the edge of Seoul, near a thick forest that nobody visited at night. Jisoo liked the quiet. He had worked as a mechanic for 15 years, ever since he dropped out of college to help his sick mother. She passed away 5 years ago, but Jisoo kept working. It was all he knew how to do. He walked outside to smoke a cigarette. The night air was cold and fresh. Stars filled the sky above the trees. Jisoo looked up at them and wondered, like he often did, if anyone was looking back. That was when he saw the light dot. It came from deep in the forest. Not the soft glow of a flashlight or the orange flicker of a fire. This light was bright blue, and it pulsed like a heartbeat. Jisoo dropped his cigarette and stepped closer to the tree line. His heart began to beat faster. He should call the police. That was the smart thing to do. But something pulled him forward. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was fate. Jisoo grabbed a flashlight from his garage and walked into the forest. The trees grew thick around him. Branches scratched his arms as he pushed through the darkness. The blue light grew brighter with each step. After 10 minutes of walking, Jisoo reached a small clearing. He stopped breathing. In the middle of the clearing sat a ship. It was not like any plane or helicopter Jisoo had ever seen. The craft was round and smooth, made of a metal that seemed to glow from within. One side was crushed and broken. Smoke rose from the damage, carrying a strange smell that burned Jisoo's nose. For a long moment, Jisoo just stood there. His mind could not understand what his eyes were seeing. This was a spaceship. An actual spaceship. The things from movies and books were real. Then he heard the sound. It was soft, like a wounded animal. A cry of pain coming from inside the broken ship. Jisoo's fear melted away. Someone was hurt. That was all that mattered. He ran to the ship and found an opening in the damaged side. The metal was still hot, but Jisoo ignored the pain in his hands as he pulled himself inside. The interior was dark, except for a few blinking lights. Strange symbols covered the walls. The air tasted different, sweeter somehow. Jisoo found her in what looked like a control room. She lay on the floor, one hand pressed against her side. Blood seeped between her fingers, but the blood was not red. It was silver, like liquid metal. Her skin was pale blue, almost white, and her hair was long and black as midnight. When she opened her eyes, Jisoo saw they were violet, like flowers in spring. She was beautiful. She was also dying. The alien woman spoke, but her words made no sense. The language was soft and musical, full of sounds that human throats could never make. She looked at Jisoo with fear in her strange eyes. Her free hand reached for something on her belt, maybe a weapon. Jisoo raised his hand slowly. He made his voice gentle. "It is okay. I am not going to hurt you. I want to help." She did not understand his words, but she seemed to understand his tone. Her hand fell away from her belt. She was too weak to fight anyway. Jisoo knelt beside her and looked at the wound. Something sharp had cut deep into her side. The silver blood kept flowing. If he did not stop the bleeding, she would die. He thought about his mother. When she was sick, Jisoo had learned to take care of her. He knew basic first aid. He knew how to clean wounds and stop bleeding. He had no idea if human medicine would work on an alien, but he had to try. "I will be right back," he said. "Do not move." Jisoo ran back to his garage faster than he had ever run before. He grabbed his first aid kit, some clean towels, and a bottle of water. Then he ran back to the ship. The alien woman was still alive, but barely. Her breathing was slow and weak. Jisoo worked quickly. He cleaned the wound as gently as he could. She made sounds of pain, but she did not fight him. Maybe she understood he was trying to help. The cut was deep, but it was clean. Jisoo pressed a towel against it and held tight. After several minutes, the bleeding slowed. He wrapped bandages around her body, hoping they would hold. When he finished, Jisoo sat back and let out a long breath. The alien woman looked at him. Her violet eyes were full of something he could not name. Gratitude, maybe. Or wonder. She reached out and touched his face with her cold fingers. Then she spoke a single word in her musical language. Jisoo did not know what it meant, but it sounded like thank you. He stayed with her all night. He brought blankets from his garage to keep her warm. He gave her water, and she drank it slowly. Sometimes she slept. Sometimes she watched him with those strange, beautiful eyes as the sun began to rise. Jisoo realized he needed to hide the ship. If anyone found it, there would be chaos. Scientists would come. The military would come. They would take the alien woman away and do terrible things to her. Jisoo could not let that happen. He spent the morning covering the ship with old tarps and branches. It was hard work, but when he finished, the craft was invisible from the air. No one would find it unless they walked right into the clearing. When Jisoo returned to check on the alien woman, she was sitting up. Color had returned to her blue skin. She looked stronger, healthier. The wound was already healing, much faster than any human wound would heal. She stood up slowly and faced Jisoo. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. Two beings from different worlds, standing in a broken ship in a forest in Korea. The alien woman placed her hand over her heart. Then she placed it over Jisoo's heart. The gesture was simple, but Jisoo understood. She was saying they were connected now. He had saved her life, and she would not forget. Then she turned to the ship's controls and began pressing buttons. Lights flickered on. Machines hummed to life. Jisoo watched in amazement as the ship began to repair itself. Metal flowed like water, filling in the cracks and holes. In less than an hour, the ship was whole again. The alien woman turned to Jisoo one last time. She spoke more words he could not understand. Her voice was sad, like she was saying goodbye. Then she touched his face again, very gently. She walked into her ship and disappeared. The craft rose silently into the morning sky. Jisoo watched it go until it was just a dot among the clouds. Then it was gone, like it had never been there at all. Jisoo stood alone in the clearing for a long time. He wondered if anyone would believe him. He wondered if he should even tell anyone. Finally, he walked back to his garage. The old truck was still waiting. The owner would arrive in 2 hours. Life had to continue, even after something impossible had happened. But as Jisoo picked up his tools and went back to work, he could not stop thinking about those violet eyes. He could not stop wondering if he would ever see them again. He did not know it yet, but his answer would come sooner than he expected.